Okay, sorry. There's a time delay on my computer here because, of course, it's hot. So my name is Omar Abasad. It's 3:07 p.m. October 25th, 2023, 25 Bamberg Circle in Toronto. So I've been posting some files that shows I suspect algorithms being run on my body. So they've come up with a new technology in which they're using, from what I could tell from the very primitive devices I'm using, because they're not very sophisticated, but that could be improved upon. Um, it's a combination of signals, RF, EF, and EMF, and they are using it in such a way that it will exert pressure in the body. So the amount of pressure being exerted depends on the combination of the RF and EF that's being used in an algorithmic form. So since I suspect that there is an experiment or many experiments going on, um, one of the experiment is by the Chinese, who's openly talking about this at my window, and I've posted some videos about that. Gil Furtado is running these experiments for the Chinese gangs who are subcontracting to other gangs of other ethnic background. So this is global. So so people around the world is are involved in this trafficking. They take part in it. It is a new order system being brought into place. So um, it means enslavement of people. Anyway, so I've been posting these files that shows these signals being aimed at my body as I sleep at night as well. But they're not only in the unit, they're outside of the unit as well. So it's a tracking system that's combined with a torture system using algorithms from what I can see. So the ECGs, which I sent to the cardiologist, um, they, I didn't get a reply about some of these patterns. One was stress from one pattern. The other one was lymph. So when the heart fails, one side of the body gets blocked. There's fluid, blood buildup because one side of the heart fails. So the left side of my body is more swollen than the right. So the left leg, left ankle gets swollen when the power is turned off and the heart fails over and over and over and over and over and over again. There are clots, mini clots, and microclots, and sometimes big ones if they grow, if they combine, which of course can kill me, strokes and so on, which is part of the plan, of course, or disable me mentally, stroke in the head, mental disablement, no exposure, no talking, which is openly talked about outside the window. So I registered up as a mental retard. So it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what I do. The New World Order contractor report is what's taken as truth. His opinion counts because he is the manager. He manages the slave. He manages the target, which is a slave, and he is given that mandate by the New World Order um, agenda, the people who are running the agenda, which includes dirty cops, dirty military, politicians, and so on. So everybody knows what's going on here at 25 Bamberg Circle. Everybody knows that Gil Furtado is quote unquote living with me, but he's not the only one living with me. He is subcontracting out on an hourly basis other people who are living with me. So around the unit, people are logging in. They can see me live, naked, in the bathroom and so on. So no privacy. So it's just like being in prison. When I leave the building, the system hooks up because I'm suspecting very strongly that there is a chip in my arm because the electricity on the left side of my body is more than the right. Um, and when I'm hit, bombarded with high power, the electricity on the left side goes up more than the right. So it's not externally generated. It's not internally generated. It is it is externally generated. So my chest was being pulsed, so it's inflamed. I don't have a cold, but I do have a cough because my chest is constantly being pulsed. So I've been um, posting these files to prove to you that there are algorithms, because some of these patterns are so wild. Doctors, cardiologists don't have answers. The doctors I show have no answers. Not possible, one doctor said. She said the app was malfunctioning and all sorts of nonsense, even though they know that experiments are being carried out. I am a target. There's a flag on my knee. That means that experiments are being carried out. So, this is an enslavement program, and slavery in Canada is illegal. Trafficking is illegal. So it's very interesting that I just Googled just now an article that I did a search, a Google search that talks about slavery, human slavery in the world, and this article came up saying that a lot of the countries in the world, 46%, do not consider slavery a crime. Again, do not consider slavery a crime, which is very interesting. But before I just touch on that article very briefly, because I don't want to go on for a long time because I'm coughing, I'm going to show you the signals. Motion activated. No motion. Motion activated. Throat. You can't see the number because there is a glare. Here's my coffee. My chest is being pulsed. And my throat. You can see the red. See the red there? Yeah. So I'm going to take the ECG. Just like moisten the hand a bit. Let's moisten the hand. No water. Let's try this. I usually have a glass of water behind me. I forgot I just picked it up. Okay, so um, I'm just going to take the ECG and I'll show you what the coughing looks like in the ECG. See that dip? That's what's causing the coughing. It's like a punch into the chest, which is really um, like an EMP pulse into the chest, filled with electricity. So I'll show you the breakdown. It takes 30 seconds to get a diagnosis. Okay, the next 30 minutes. So we have premature ventricular contraction. So I'm going to show you the the PDF. So that's the PDF. You'll see the flags at the bottom there. So let me show you the graph. So the New World Order, and it takes a bit of time to load up. Here is what cough looks like. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See that? Now the electricity, see the voltage is high. It's usually under 1, which is this line right here. This one here is 1.5. Just look at that. So just out of curiosity, let me do another one. And I'll count the number of dips for you. So on the chest. One. And that one came up normal. There's just one dip there. So you see it changes. It's constantly changing. There is the graph. And you see the voltage just dropped to under 1. See how fast that happened? Okay, so I'll be doing that again before I close. There is the option 94. And that will change as well all the time. So let's talk about sorry, got distracted there. Let's talk about slavery. And I just Googled, like I said, I just Googled this article, and it came up in a website called theconversation.com, theconversation.com. So the title is Slavery is Not a Crime in Almost Half of the Countries of the World. New research. Slavery is illegal everywhere. So said the New York Times. Repeated at the World Economic Forum and used as a mantra of advocacy for over 40 years. The truth of the statement has been taken for granted for decades. Yet our new research reveals that almost half of all countries in the world have yet to actually make it a crime to enslave another human being. Half. Legal ownership of people was indeed abolished in all countries over the course of the last 2 centuries. But in many countries, it has not been criminalized. It's been abolished, but not criminalized. In other words, there's no law on the books that makes it a crime. Huge difference. So if it's been abolished, it means that you can't do it. But my understanding of this to stop me from talking. Let me see what the algorithm shows. I'm just going to stop reading. Electrode on the chest. See that shock? See that? That's a shock on the chest. And that's what the coughing. It's deflecting as well. And it stopped because I'm constantly getting shocked. It interrupts the Bluetooth signal. It interrupts the recording. See, I don't get a diagnosis. Okay, so let me start again. Okay. And here we get the diagnosis again. Premature ventricular contraction. And what does it look like? So let's do the PDF. Look at that. And that's when I started coughing. See that? The electricity. Okay. There's a delay for some reason. It's up. 1. But you can see the power increasing. Okay. Now that is not the coughing motion, because I get it when I'm not coughing as well. So that's not really the coughing motion, and I could demonstrate that, but I'm not going to go to it right now. Let me just see one last time what it turns up. What turns up? And notice I'm not coughing, right? Yeah. It's not going to allow me to finish my recording because I'm constantly getting hit. All right, so let me just finish this recording and I'm going to make it short. So legal ownership of people was indeed abolished in all countries over the course of the last 2 centuries. But in many countries, it has not been criminalized. So there's no laws if you take it to court to use to fight it. In almost half the world's countries, there is no criminal law penalizing either slavery or the slave trade. In 94 countries, you cannot be prosecuted and punished in the criminal court for enslaving another human being. I guess there could be civil litigation, but not criminal. In other words, a crown attorney cannot put a charge through for slavery, but you can sue the person for damages in a civil suit. Our findings displace one of the most basic assumptions made in the modern anti-slavery movement, that slavery is already illegal everywhere in the world. Let me say that again. Our findings displace one of the most basic assumptions made in the modern anti-slavery movement, that slavery is already illegal everywhere in the world. So I guess most people mistake slavery being abolished to be the same as being criminal. And they provide an opportunity to refocus global efforts to eradicate modern slavery by 2030, starting with fundamentals, getting states to completely outlaw slavery and other exploitative practice. The findings emerge from our development of anti-slavery database mapping domestic legislation against international treaty obligations of all 193 United Nations member states, virtually all countries in the world. The database considers the domestic legislation of each country as well as the binding commitment they have made through international agreements to prohibit forms of human exploitation that fall under the umbrella term modern slavery. This includes forced labor, human trafficking institutions, and practices similar to slavery servitude, the slave trade, and slavery itself. Okay, so that's all I'm going to read. So 94 states, 94, which is 49%, appears not to have criminal legislation prohibiting slavery. And it gives some history of slavery. It's a very interesting article. You should read it. But I found this very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. So, because I also was one of the people who thought that it was illegal, that abolishment automatically meant it was illegal. Okay, so I'm going to, it's been 23 minutes. I'm going to close this. And before I do that, I'm going to show you some files that I uploaded. That was this morning. So this is 2:34 a.m. to 9:01 a.m. And you see how many times the oxygen dropped. So the oxygen drops, and I've actually live streamed this as soon as this beam is put on my body, and it feels like beam because number one, the body heats up. Number two, there's pressure exerted on the body. You can actually feel the pressure on your body, so you know that some sort of a beam is being focused on your body. So this pressure is exerted internally and externally. So it can be on the surface of the skin and can penetrate. And I find that in my observations that when the RF is high, it penetrates the body. So can you imagine how often, and I'll just expand this for you, how many drops there was and how high the power was for the oxygen to go down to 70, because that's where it went down to. So if you look at the corner, you'll see 70 there. If you look out here, you'll see 70. So when the oxygen drops like that, it goes down to 70. So in order to drop the oxygen like that, the heart rate has to drop. And there's your heart rate. Notice there is no motion. Oxygen, heart rate, motion. So when the oxygen drops to 70, the heart rate goes into serious arrhythmia. and you're out cold. You're in a state of not sleep, like a coma. And I find that in these times, there is a lot of dreams that is gaslighting in your dream. So I had a dream where I was scaling walls. Um, I'd have dreams that would be repeating things that happened during the day, that would be harassing. Like if I went out, I encountered a harassing situation, it would be repeated in my dream. But you would think that would be normal because you're just regurgitating what you saw during the day. But what's interesting is it happens when the oxygen is down. This is what I find really interesting. And as soon as the oxygen goes back up, because I wake up, and as soon as I wake up, and I'm trying to train myself into doing some sort of CPR, because I've discovered that once my chest is in motion, the oxygen goes right back up. So if I do sit ups while I'm lying down, um, in bed or in a sofa, if I start doing some form of sit up, like you would do on the floor, the oxygen goes back up because it activates the lungs and it activates the heart. When I wake up, I do that, and immediately I find that oxygen increases. However, sometimes it increases all by itself when the power is pulled. So that's one session. The other session was here. That was the other session. And you see how, and that was uh, 3 o'clock, 5:43. Yeah, 5:43. And the other session was 7:45. And that's when the recording stopped. The battery died. And there was one at 3 o'clock, 3:15, that went on and on from 3 to 4 for an hour. That was an hour. So it went on for an hour. If I, that was an hour. So again, um, I can get this this device here is FDA listed, and it matches up, the data matches up with the FDA cleared. So this is reliable data. And again, you can see the serious arrhythmia that goes with the oxygen drop. Because for that, and then there's no motion again. Yeah. Because I'm knocked out, basically. I'm in a semi-coma state. And when I wake up from these sessions, my head is hot, my head is hurting, my eyes are pulsing, my eyes are red. This morning I got up and my eyes are red and really painful because they're pulsing, maybe using some sort of a laser, images into your brain and in your optic nerve. They're using your optic nerve. And I suspect the pineal gland is also being affected because you're seeing these things as you would do a dream. And I'm not sure how dreams work, um, necessarily using, if it's necessary to use your pineal gland, or because it is a third, it is a, in a sense an eye. Not sure. I'm not sure how that works, what it is you're seeing through when you're dreaming, but it is similar to that. So, what apparatus they're using to while I'm sleeping, quote unquote, but not really sleeping, I'm out like a light because the oxygen dropped. I'm being put under basically. Um, how they're projecting that image into your head like a dream. Is it mimicking a dream, the way the dream works, or is it using another mechanism to make it feel like a dream? Is it projecting into your eyes, or is it using your pineal gland or some other organ to do this? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works, but that's exactly what happens. So as I'm talking now, the left leg is being shocked, which is swollen, because I'm suspecting that there are clots on that leg. I should really be on blood thinner because they really increase the power. I'm on the disposal stage of the cannibalization process of the New World Order system that we're actually living in right now. It's not being brought in. It is here. I mean, it's not being in the process of being put into place. It's already in place because targets like myself are feeling it firsthand. We're living it. But I've been living with this since I was 16 years old without knowing it. So it was in place for a long time, but not openly as it is right now with the WEF actually talking about it. So get an oximeter. It doesn't have to be exactly this model. This one happens to be from China. There are lots of others. You go to Amazon and track your oxygen, track your sleep patterns. And if you're finding that the oxygen are dropping in a certain pattern and you're going into arrhythmia, tachycardia, when I'm scanned on the surface of the skin and it's burning, I go into tachycardia and the heart races. If it goes into AFib, it races. And I'm suspecting that it went into AFib quite a few times, but it's not diagnosed with the AI. My doctor wants a scan of my heart that involves a dye that almost killed me the last time I did it. But I did a scan with dyes. Is it necessary to scan your heart to diagnose AFib, diagnose arrhythmia, tachycardia, or any other condition? You don't have to have a scan for that. It's a symptom, right? The scan would show the reason why you're experiencing these symptoms. But you don't need a scan to get the diagnosis officially. But they refuse to diagnose it. There's no diagnosis because I'm a target and it's an experiment. It's not internally caused, it's externally caused. Talk to you another time. Hard to talk.